to the warrant of arrest issued for ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule is likely to deepen factions in the party. Now, some of Magashule's supporters, including the MKMVA, are angered by the latest move by the Hawks. Joining us to make sense of what is likely to happen after the arrest warrant is Professor Booysen, Research Director at Mapungube Institute for Strategic Reflections. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. This warrant is seen as perhaps the most significant development since the establishment of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. What do you make of the political dynamics at play?
Well, it is a very divided ANC, and it's a very complex, multidimensional, if I can be dramatic about it, really it's a war within the ANC. On the one hand, it is Cyril Ramaphosa as president of the ANC in the country, and his credibility is he in charge of the renewal of the ANC? Is the ANC supposedly the renewed one in a process of cleaning itself from corruption, elected last year in elections? Is that really the ANC that is in charge, running the country and trying to renew the ANC further? So that credibility is at stake. On the other hand, there are the factions around Magashule and others who are saying this is a political game, there's a political agenda, state institutions are used as weapons of war. So there is a huge conceptual and real, because these people are all in positions of power, real war unfolding in the ANC. And even on a day like today, when we are facing multiple by-elections around the country, the big debate, the big public narrative is that about ANC corruption and a person as senior as the Secretary General, and that is quite an unprecedented situation. That is the major debate on a day like today, and certainly that reinforces the importance that the ANC has to be able to persuade the electorate, the general public out there, that its clean-up actions have credibility. And that is what the Magashule faction is likely to try to implode.
Now, some analysts have warned that Magashule's arrest could strengthen the move to perhaps oust President Cyril Ramaphosa. What do you make of that dynamic?
You know, I do not believe that will happen. Although there can be a case that side of the ANC will be making for it. If we look at the ANC's constitution, section 25(7, it's quite explicit about that, and the NEC of the ANC is on record of backing that up, even if we have seen the widespread denial of that in practice, and that means stepping aside when people are in a process of party disciplinary action, of prosecutorial action, investigative action, and the evidence clearly is there. We have heard that the NEC of the ANC, or the top 6 of the ANC, also met last night. We don't know the outcome of that yet. And it's likely that a special NEC of the ANC might be called. So I think the weight of ANC internal organizational constitutionality and the weight of Cyril Ramaphosa's balance outweighing that Magashule factor in the NEC, I think that will be definitely strongly in favor of Ramaphosa. But still, his project can really suffer much damage because of the resistance of this other faction. So the Constitution is clear, too, that if the Secretary General steps aside, everybody deems it to be in the interest of the organization, then, of course, everybody will never deem it to be in the interest of the organization, but that is the formal point that needs to be made. And then the Constitution provides for the Deputy Secretary General, that then the Secretary will step in as an acting Secretary General. I've heard people say a special NGC would have to be called. In terms of the ANC Constitution, there's not evidence that that will be possible or required.
What did you make of the ANC statement issued by Booysen, the spokesperson, which sort of gauged itself on a wait-and-see game? Really, what stood out for me is that the statement makes no mention about the resolution that those charged with corruption should step aside, or the possible intervention of the party's integrity commission, which could make recommendations to some sort of effect. What was your take on that?
Yes, I thought that was a strange but quite predictable statement of the ANC spokespersons, etc., and the ANC top administration at the Jubilee House, who are firmly on Ace Magashule's side. They are in that faction. Pulemabe, despite many appearances, attempts to be neutral, is in that faction too, has been a long time. And I thought it was a very damaging to the ANC statement that was being made, because there should have been an unambiguous statement of what is wrong and let investigative processes unfold, and we stand by constitutionality and what is good for the organization, that type of stuff. That was totally lacking in that statement at the time when the ANC really needed to be very well on top of persuading the electorate, the public out there, that it is serious about cleaning up.
And very lastly, before we let you go, what sort of impact do you see this making on the outcome of the by-elections?
Oh, I think this controversy and the ANC's handling of it and the faction's resistance to just going by the clean-up process procedures couldn't have come at a worse time for the ANC. It is a time that the ANC really needs to persuade the electorate, and these by-elections are such a good little litmus test, but persuade the electorate that it is this renewed, reinvigorated party of strong principles. That is the last thing I believe that voters going to the ballot boxes today would have been persuaded of. So I think the ANC will suffer from it. Opposition parties are not strong enough really to break into that slipstream that is left by an ANC that is faltering on many fronts. And so it could very well be that COVID aftermath or post-peak or not will think, what is the point of voting?
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to have to leave it there.